Good morning, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas with two of the most wonderful souls that I'm blessed to know, Eostar and Mathias. That's Mathias and Eostar, depending on which direction you're looking at. And they are just two delightful souls. And really, this is exactly what I love to have on my Sacred Sunday show. People such as yourself, where we talk about what sacred means to you. You know, obviously, this is not a religious show. It's not a dogmatic show, but it's all about living life in a sacred way. And the two of you absolutely do that. So I want to welcome everybody who's watching. And I see we've got about 15 people in our Zoom room. And certainly those of you watching on Facebook, come on into the Zoom room. I'll post the link. And definitely let us know where you're from. Thank you, Eleanor, from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, for getting us started with that. And yeah, it's always fun to know where people are from. And I see already quite a few of our friends and regulars, so it's great to be with us.
Nice.
I'm going to put the full spotlight, though, on my friends Eostar and Mathias to kind of just help us drop in. Rather than me doing the morning meditation, I'm going to turn it over to them to do a sound meditation. And welcome you to the Spotlight's on you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. On this beautiful sacred Sunday. All Sundays are sacred because most of us don't have to work.
Thanks for having us, Scott. We were trying to decide whether to be indoors or outdoors, and we thought it would be really just beautiful to be in nature. So here we are in the Laguna de Santa Rosa.
In Sebastopol, California.
Wow.
And as a welcome to all our guests to this beautiful Zoom meeting, we would like to start with a short meditation. And in the light of what is sacred, this is Sacred Sundays. What is sacred? Sacred is when we are able to maybe close our eyes, even though the outer reality is really beautiful, kind of like a Garden of Eden here, but let's all close our eyes and withdraw our senses to focus on what's inside. And we are doing this because when we focus on what's inside, then we feel that is where we can meet that divinity that we really are, when we are not in a when we are not distracted by everything that we are perceiving through our senses. So let's start with some breaths. Breath is an amazing tool that allows us to really focus inside, focus on what is real, as opposed to everything, all this data stream that comes in through our senses. So Mathias, do you want to lead us to some breathing?
Sure, yeah. You can just start with just 3 slow breaths, and then we'll do a little sound healing. Just enter into this sacred space with Scott here on Sacred Sundays. So just sit straight up if you're in a chair, and just take at your own pace 3 very slow, deep inhalations. Hold at the top of the breath for just a couple seconds, and then slowly exhale. Dropping into that silent space, that stillness, the silence that contains all reverence for this moment. Acknowledging the blessings that we have in our lives. And in gratitude for all the beautiful things that we have, all the people in our lives, and all the things that we can offer as well to people on the planet as we work together to support ourselves as we move through time and space on this planet Earth.
Beautiful. Mm.
So we're excited to be here with Scott and talk about sacred music and entheogens.
And we would just start by telling us, and by the way, it's beautiful to see you. There is, of course, challenges with being outdoors. There's a little bit of wind noise, just so you
Is
know.
there?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
got a
it'll be important for both of you to speak up. People
Okay.
have a little trouble hearing you.
Maybe
So,
bring it closer.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Sure. I've got a windscreen on the mic. It's surprising you're hearing wind noise.
Yeah, we are getting some wind noise. And maybe if you can bring it a little bit closer to the two of you, that would be great.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, welcome everybody. Do let us know where you're from. It's always good to see Lorna from Novato, Ronnie from Port Townsend, and of course, Eleanor. And we've got about 15 others. So let us know where you're from. And we've got Eostar Mathias, two of our favorite musical artists and soulful beings. So what are entheogens? Let's just start with, what are they?
Well, we talked about that last night, and we thought it was actually a great way to start this conversation. And since I'm the linguist here, I'm going to start with the linguistic origins. So people use the words psychedelic and hallucinogenic to describe what we usually mean by entheogens. But it seemed like there was a need to coin a new word because hallucinogenic was related, had a connotation with hallucinations, which has kind of a negative connotation, and then psychedelic was not too far off from psychosis. So some people felt that there should be a word coined that is referring to the sacred use of both plant medicines and other psychedelics, as opposed to the recreational use. So we usually use the word entheogen when we want to proclaim to the world that we are not here to recreate. We are really serious about what we are doing, and we really consider this sacred in the fullest meaning of what sacred is. And then if you look at the etymology of the word entheogenic, it's Greek. And theos means full of God. Theos is God. And then the entheogenic, there is another word here, genestai. I took some notes. Genestai is Greek for becoming it. So you become full of God. You become full of inspiration. And so that's the literal meaning of entheogen, as we know.
Yeah, beautiful. So basically, it's entheogens in general expand our awareness beyond our current frame of reference. So I know for myself, entheogens have been perhaps probably the most potent tool for my own evolution of consciousness and awakening. And it's hard for me to imagine not having a sacred experience on psychedelics. I've definitely witnessed people that use it more as a party drug. For me, I mean, spiritual can also be a party, but to me, it brings it brings me into a deep spiritual place and helps me awaken. It kind of catapults the person that's imbibed the medicine out of their current frame of reference. And I think one of the reasons that's so amazing is you really get to look down at your current life and see from a different perspective about some of the patterns that maybe you want to change or improve. And that's where the healing is. And that's where the evolution is. So it's been really amazing to have these medicines throughout my life. And, yeah.
I'm going to gallery review, just so you know, so all three of us are kind of on camera here. So this is a beautiful topic. And, speaking candidly, lysergic acid diethylmentate 25, also known as LSD, is what really helped me wake up when I was 16 years old. And it was a very positive, extremely positive experience for me. And that, of course, led to more experiences with LSD, psychedelic mushrooms, and a little bit later in my life, ecstasy. And I've been blessed in that I've never had a bad trip. I've always had beautiful experiences. But I also noticed that as I got older, I had to be careful not to become reliant on psychedelics to get to that place. They opened the door, but then, it shows us what's possible, but then learning to not rely. And speaking very candidly, I just got back from a week with an amazing couple. They call themselves the Twin Rays. It's Shakina and Sananda, and they're awake. They are a fully awake pair of human beings. They're in their mid-40s. And it brought up for me incredible inspiration to be around them, but also sadness, because when I was that age, and I was in a relationship where I was trying to achieve what they are achieving, we relied too much on ecstasy. When things would get hard, our go-to would be to go to ecstasy to work it out. And it was always a good short-term solution, but not a good long-term solution. And so that's just a kind of a candid way of acknowledging there's use, but there's also ways that we can become not necessarily addicted, but too reliant on substances to get back into that beautiful state we want to be in. So I'm curious what any of our audience has to say about that. And it's cool. We've got people from the Big Island and New Mexico and East Coast, of course, California. So any thoughts and comments from our audience, I'll read. And I'll turn it back over to you, the two of you. How do you manage using entheogens to awaken and open up, but not becoming too reliant?
I think that's a beautiful question. I mean, for me, it's just been kind of a natural evolution away from them, actually. And, you know, my primary medicine now is breath work, actually. And breath work can take me and does take me to really deep places. Eostar also is a certified breath work practitioner. So, and we do breath work every day. So I think having proper relationship to anything is something for everyone to look at, whether it's to drugs or psychedelics or sex or TV or Facebook or gambling or, you know, food, shopping. There's addiction is I think a big topic that maybe is another thing to discuss at another time. But the compulsion to escape is not what we're talking about when using entheogens in a conscious, intentional way. And I think that's the difference between just taking it or having a clear intention, which is why a ceremonial space is so important.
Yes.
And so, you know, Eostar and I do hold ceremonies and of all sorts, whether it's a cacao ceremony, a breathwork ceremony, a sound healing ceremony, or an entheogen ceremony. And maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the things we do there and how important intention is.
Absolutely. And thank you for asking that question, Scott. I think that's a great opening of the topic, because especially within the spiritual community, there's actually quite a bit of judgment on entheogens. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, I smoked a lot of weed when I was in my 16s or teenage years, but I left that long behind, and vibrationally I'm already here, and smoking pot is here, and taking LSD is here, and vibrationally I'm here. So you know, I get that a lot actually from my friends who are a lot of them are not in the psychedelic community. They are more into meditation and prayer and maybe cacao ceremonies, maybe sound healing and breath work, but entheogens are kind of like for people who are not awake yet, right? And I don't agree with that. I work with the sacred plant medicines mainly, and especially ayahuasca to me is so sacred and so holy. And I'd like to point out the difference between different entheogens. Like there's difference between taking ecstasy and going to an ayahuasca ceremony. Anybody can agree to that. And a lot of times when we go to an ayahuasca ceremony, we prepare for the ceremony, and then there's integration after the ceremony. So it's not just like we go and we drink it and we feel high. We actually prepare for it, some of us rigorously. And myself, I've been a long-time practitioner of yoga, meditation, and especially dieting with herbs, and also just various cleansing practices that I've done in my life. And all of these things have helped me to be able to hold the container for a sacred ceremony that actually can really rise up in frequency, and where people can really unplug from this Maya, this mind stream. And when they come back to it, they are transformed. Did that answer the question? I'm not sure. It was kind of a long breath.
Yeah, well, I think the point being is that intention is everything, and our relationship to anything, and this would include entheogens, really is an important thing to look at in terms of whether it's being used as a tool to escape the challenges or a tool to actually maybe tune into some of the shadow side that maybe we aren't seeing, or some patterns maybe that we'd like to, you know, learn how to move beyond. In terms of it being, you know, I guess, you know, Neem Curly Baba, of course, he, you know, there's that legend where, you know, Ram Dass fed him, you know, 500 mics of LSD, and he didn't feel anything, right? Like nothing changed for him. So I imagine like when you're in a fully awakened state, maybe there might be a point where these tools aren't needed. I'm not sure. For me, it seems like the awakened state is a present moment choice always. It's always in the present moment, connecting to the breath and identifying with the witnessing presence. I think that psychedelics and entheogens in general, there's just vast amounts to be explored there. It's like going into a whole nother universe.
I think that what, for me, a bottom line is let's never judge another, but definitely practice discernment. And we can be discerning without judgment, right? Like discernment is, I no longer am going to use MDMA to get to that state. That's discernment. But judgment is, oh, I'm beyond ecstasy now. People who do ecstasy are at a lower vibration. Like that's where the ego has to, make itself feel better by doing a comparison or a story. And especially when it comes to what we put into our body, everyone is different and we all change and we adjust. I mean, there are some people that should just never, ever drink alcohol. And there's some people that can have, alcohol and be totally fine, in moderation. And the same thing with anything, whether it's entheogens or even food, some people can manage sugar and some people can't. And so it's so important for us to recognize that each of our body temples has its own chemistry, its own responses, its own reactions. And it's up to us to know our bodies and to also support others to know their bodies, but not to judge or make decisions about other people's bodies.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'd like to say, I've had to catch myself, because sometimes I can show up as maybe a little bit of the rescuer. And I've had these conversations where, what do you do if, say, for instance, a friend is a heroin addict, right? Do you try to get them to not do it? Like you can have a conversation with them, but some people might say, hey, they might find the greatest light when they hit that rock bottom, and that might be the spiritual lesson that they need in this lifetime to really fully awaken. So it's been an interesting challenge for me to not try to steer people in what I perceive as the right direction in terms of healthy choices. And I do ultimately encourage healthy choices and to avoid really, or at least assess whether there's addictive impulses that are driving one's actions.
I'm a little bit more hardcore, I admit. I think I'm not trying to tell anybody what's good for them. Of course, I agree with that. But in my view, there are some things that are, generally speaking, not good for anyone. I would say that sugar is not good for anyone. It definitely isn't good for me. I never eat sugar. Try to even avoid coconut sugar.
That's a tough one.
Try to even avoid honey. I catch myself, I get addicted so quickly to anything sweet. It's unbelievable. So in my life, I really try to steer myself away from anything that could create addiction, including caffeine. So I don't drink coffee. And even with green tea, I noticed that I start drinking it, then I need more, then I need more. And then I get into this whole cycle of like, if I don't drink green tea, I'm going to be tired and lethargic. So for me, I definitely steer myself away gently from anything that I notice that is producing any kind of craving or addiction. Now, I'm not saying that I'm completely free of addiction, because there's always food and there's just all kinds of pleasures of the world. Even something like skiing or snowboarding could be that. But generally speaking, I try to steer myself gently away from anything that's habit forming like that. And with entheogens, I find that they are anything but habit forming, especially something like ayahuasca. It's not easy for anyone to make a decision that they are going to sit in ceremony. It actually takes courage, it takes willpower and dedication. So I have a lot of respect for anyone who decides to really intentionally use these entheogenic substances for their own awakening, and who's willing to take that path, because it's not easy. And
no, it's not easy.
It takes courage. It takes courage and takes willpower and dedication. So for me, the work with the entheogens, it actually came for me after I was already into yoga, I was already into spirituality. I read all the self-help books and all the spiritual books, and I was already ordained in the Essene Church, in different other organizations. But then I came to the world of entheogens, and especially when I found ayahuasca, it was just so enhancing what I was already doing. And it helped me in so many ways, and it helped me uncover my shadow. Because a lot of times I find that in the spiritual community, when we are in different spiritual groups and doing meditations and listening to our guru speak, and we kind of leave behind these parts, these aspects of ourselves that are in pain. And we tend to just focus on the light. And then these parts, these aspects that are in pain keep coming up, and there's no way of getting rid of them. There's only acknowledging them and validating them and bringing them back into our hearts and embracing them. So that's a type of shadow work that I practice and I use as an integration tool with people who come to our circles.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's and you're a very positive role model there, and I think that everything you said is healthy guidelines, very healthy guidelines. And I appreciate, again, I heard a lot of discernment, and I didn't hear judgment of others.
No judgment of others or our own parts. I'm really into parts work, as you can tell. Internal family systems and other ways, inner child work, and other ways of really getting to know these parts that are rejected, exiled. And I think that when we integrate those parts within ourselves, then we can also integrate and have compassion to all the people in our lives. We won't have any more fuel to support our fire of judgment toward others.
Beautiful. By the way, Rachel, our mutual friend, Rachel Domal, is watching on Facebook and sending lots of love.
Hi, Rachel.
So, Rachel and all of our friends watching. I see a guitar in the screen.
Yes, we
and
have.
I have to admit that does bring up a craving. I have a craving. I have to admit it. It's a bit of an addiction. It's a craving to listening to Eostar and Mathias play music.
Well, that's
a good addiction.
That's a good addiction, and it's good to discern like addictions from healthy habits, right? Because habits or just enrichment of life, but I get it. Addiction. Yeah. I'm glad this is a good addiction, Scott.
Oh, good.
And I'm addicted to guitar, but I call it a healthy habit.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of like, yeah. So, it's kind of a lifestyle choice, and it's just kind of who I am. And yeah, maybe at some points it's been obsessive in my life, but I find a little more balance with the guitar now.
Absolutely.
Years now, but
well, so the title of this Zoom call is Sacred Music and Entheogens. So far we talked about the entheogens, but not about the sacred music, or not enough.
Yeah.
Well, so music is one of the ways that we get into the zone, that we really allow the disturbing factors of our lives to fall into the background and just focus on that sound, focus on that harmony, focus on that tone, or focus on that cadence. And it's just a really beautiful way of praying. So that's what we do with music. We either write original songs, or we sing mantras, or we have some adaptations of South American medicine songs. All of them are prayers. All of them are for setting an intention.
And I would like to add that, you know, as a musician, I would definitely say that, you know, entheogens and psychedelic usage have been a huge part of my evolution as a musician. You know, I followed the Grateful Dead, you know, from 1980 till the day that Jerry died. And a lot of people saw that as a big party, and it was beautiful, a beautiful big party. And it was for me too, but it was also church. It was a ritual church ceremonial experience. Joseph Campbell referenced that as a large scale ceremonial experience during that time period. And so really, like, entheogens tuned me into the sacred vibration of sound, and really kind of, I learned how to tune into like the empty space that contains sound. And that's where, for me, like feeling the music, whether I'm listening or playing it, coming from that void, the nothingness into something, is what is really powerful for me and transformative. And so we try to always reach that. You can't always reach that space. Sometimes it's magic that just drops you right in. But when that happens, epiphanies and awakenings can really happen through sound and through music. So that's how I kind of describe sacred music to me, is in entheogens. They work really well together.
Beautiful.
You
So we'll probably share a few songs today in the Zoom call, but I'd like to start with a beautiful mantra. It's Om Purnamada. Purnamida. It talks about the perfection, the wholeness of the universe, how it cannot be destroyed. What is already perfect is even though it goes on a little roundabout trip, negating the perfection, it returns into it. So we would like to make this Sunday more sacred for you, singing this song. Purnamada Purnamida Purnat Purnamudasya Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiva Vashishate Purnameva Vashishati Purnameva Vashishati Purnameva This is whole, that is whole. The whole is all we have. When it's denied, the whole and manifest. When it's negated, it will be born again. What remains in the end is the wholeness. What remains in the end is the wholeness. Oh, what remains in the end is the wholeness. What remains in the end is the wholeness.
Oh, it's such a blessing. Such a blessing to hear you two. Mm. Mm. I always love the way you weave your harmonies in with the beautiful guitar work. It's just, you have a very unique and exquisite balance there. It's like hearing you play again, it's like, oh, it's like seeing an old friend. You know,
Uh,
there's certain friends that you don't see them, and the moment you see them or think of them, you get this rush of love. It's what it's like when I hear your music again.
oh, beautiful. Thank you, Scott. I
Mm.
remember, oh, it seems like so long ago we would play in your living room with some friends.
Actually, it was long ago. I mean, depending
Yeah.
on, but I had a Facebook memory come up, and it was 9 years ago. I mean, you played in my living room a few times, but there was one time, it was shortly after my wife died, and you were in my living room. That was 9 years ago. So
I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have some history with us.
Hey, and by the way, we can't see you in our screen, Scott.
Oh, I had the spotlight on you. You should
Oh,
be
okay,
able.
that's
that's
okay.
I was
Um,
keeping the focus on you guys.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So I have a thought that
Mhm.
came that I wanted to share as we finished playing, and that is that I really enjoy playing music, singing songs, and the sound of my guitar, and I really enjoy hearing Mathias's incredible guitar solos. But when I am taking some kind of psychedelic medicine or entheogen, especially ayahuasca or wachuma, um, or mushrooms for that matter, the sound just opens. And that's when I really understand his solos. Like until that point, I'm like, yeah, he's a great guitar player and he's good. But under the influence of an entheogen in a sacred setting, in a sacred ceremonial setting, especially, his solos really take me there. And also the mantras really take me there. That I didn't realize the power of mantras until I actually heard myself singing them in a ceremony. And then that's when I had this big aha moment. Aha, that's why I've been singing them all along,
Mhm.
like that. So I wanted to share that.
Oh, thank you, Eostar. Yeah. Well, I try to take myself on a journey when we're in an improvisational space, and that's always a matter of how present I am with each moment, and then the more present that I am, the more the guitars are really like working together, the more the opportunity presents itself to drop into a deeper meditative space, because the silence is heard more within that subtle unison of sounds. That's the way that I see it, and it ebbs and flows, with the consciousness of the mind, because our mind is never completely still.
Mm.
I don't think anyone's mind is ever completely still. It may be our relationship to our mind stream could be focused on the witnessing presence, but the mind stream is always there. So it's just in that practice of acknowledging the silent space that music springs from, which is the sacred container. That's what really is the journey component for me, and why music is, and improvisation in general, is really a powerful medium for transformation, really. Yeah.
Hearing how the two of you play together, we're in a time, and of course, as a relationship coach, I'm so painfully aware of how many people are polarizing and breaking up and arguing over different belief systems. And it's inevitable, the more time we spend with someone, there are going to be differences, right? That's inevitable. And it's how we manage those differences. And I'm curious if when the two of you have a difference, do you ever say, you know what, let's stop talking about the difference and let's just play music? And in playing the music, that kind of brings you back
We
into.
never have an argument.
Never.
I
Hey,
didn't use the
let's
word
stay
argument.
on topic, Scott.
I didn't use the word argument. I said differences. But just like I encourage couples, hold each other. When you're in a difference, stop talking, just hold each other. Let your bodies, go into homeostasis. And I'm wondering if you two do that with just dropping in and playing music together to get out of the mind and out of the difference in the dynamic.
I mean, I can't say that like whenever we've had like any sort of, escalated disagreement that we've said, let's just play music, um, But music always will bring us back into like acknowledging like, wow, this is so special and sacred, the connection that we have as musicians and the chemistry that we share, you know. And it's been really an amazing sacred treat to, you know, meet this spirit and play music with her for so many years. We actually met at a medicine gathering about 12 years ago. At about dawn, we'd been up all night, and yeah.
And I noticed Mathias, as he was playing this one song, an original composition of his on the guitar. He was across from me, across the fire from me, and I look up and I'm like, jaw drop. Who is that?
Yeah.
But back to the argument and how music can help just smoothing the rough edges. I think that would be the word. It has happened a few times when we had an argument, but we also had a gig coming up, and we had to do the gig because, you know, it was already pre-planned, and you know, there's audience and whatnot. And so we sit down to do the gig, and we play for an hour and a half. And when we are done playing, all the problems are minor. They are not worth talking about. They are not worth thinking about. Yeah. What's really important is this: the music, the sharing of the music, and everything else is just background noise.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That does. And I'm going to read a few comments from some of the people who are with us. Heidi writes, "What is beautiful about ayahuasca that it is made from nature, beautiful plants, and the plants are resilient, like humans. We are beautiful and we are resilient." That's beautiful, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi. That was beautiful. Really,
Steve writes, "One can only learn perseverance and intentionality through experience. Mathias is right. It is all about intention, but a menu can be helpful." Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Good job, Steve. Heidi also adds, "Plants grow in nature. Nature is sacred sound. Eostar and Mathias are in tune with this. Eostar needs no sugar. She is already sweet."
Well, I'll agree with that.
So just a few of the comments coming in. Thank you. Yeah, continue to write those comments. It's wonderful. Do you have another song for us? My addictive nature is.
Sure.
What is the question?
Another song. Yeah.
Another song. Oh, okay. Well, you pick. Because I picked the other.
Oh, I don't know. How much more time do we have, Scott?
Well, that's up to you. You know, the show can go anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. We are at 10:51, so you've got anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes, and that's totally up to you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I love talking. Mathias always tells me, "You just love talking." But then he acknowledges that I'm a good talker.
It's true.
Well, not only are you a good talker, it's what you share is wise. You have good wisdom.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think whether there's some things to talk about.
Song. We were gonna.
Okay, yeah, we want to play a song.
But you picked from that. We have a little list here. That
do you ever request, Scott? I mean, you know, we can play the greatest hits. You want to play "Water of Life"?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll play "Water of Life."
That's a good choice. Good choice.
So just to introduce the song, in ayahuasca ceremonies, there's usually this moment that is close to the ending, maybe an hour before we end the ceremony, when somebody or people bring in the sacred water, and then we bless the water. We put our blessing, our everything that is true and sacred to us, we put that into the water, and that we share the water and we drink it. So usually this water blessing ceremony is accompanied by a song, and there are many water blessing ceremonies. But I just had to write my own version, and this version actually contains a Spanish song that is dedicated to the 4 elements, and then I kind of turned it into something else, just creatively adapted it.
Fantastic. Here, and I'm enjoying my water, and we'll drink this as you play. And I invite everybody to do that, to, you know, as they play this song and as we drink our water, to really just remember we can make anything sacred just by becoming conscious of, wow, how blessed I am, how blessed I am to have this water right now. That's the thing. It's like, you know, I call it the Sacred Sunday show, because I do like to make Sundays sacred. But of course, we can make any moment, any day sacred just by bringing awareness, bringing awareness to how grateful we are to have water. There's people right now on this planet that don't have water, or clean water, fresh water. We're very blessed.
By the way, I'm reusing this plastic bottle for those people out there. I've used this quite a bit. Yeah, everything is sacred.
Yeah.
And acknowledging the miraculous nature of everything, how everything is a miracle, actually. Even if it's hard, it's still a miracle that here we are in this galactic universe on this blue ball spinning in space. It's all a miracle, really.
It truly is. It is. All right.
Agua vital, purifícame. Agua vital, lávame los ojos. Agua vital, purifícame. Fuego del amor, quema mi temor. Aire sagrado, llévame al altar. Madre tierra, vuelvo a tu hogar. Agua vital, purifícame. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Life begets abundance where you pour your rain. You water my eyes and wash away the pain. Liquid light in a teardrop, life pours in a tree. Quench my thirst, flowing toward infinity. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. agua vital, purifícame. Sangrecita de la tierra, sangrecita de la tierra, sangrecita de la tierra, sangrecita de la tierra. De la tierra, de la tierra. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Life begets abundance where you pour the rain. You water my eyes and you wash away the pain. Liquid light, a teardrop life pours a tree. Quench my thirst flowing toward infinity. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Water of life, cleanse my eyes. Agua vital, purifícame. sangrecita de la tierra, sangrecita de la tierra, sangrecita de la tierra, sangrecita de la tierra, de la tierra, de la tierra.
Just savoring the beauty of the music. People are asking how to get more of you. And so
Yeah.
I have a couple of things I've pulled up here. We've got Web of One seems to be I recall the main thing. And if we go to webofone.net, it takes us to Eostar and the Web of One, and a beautiful,
Eostar, yeah.
beautiful, beautiful website. I love that picture of the two of you looking at the globe.
Yeah. Maybe if people, we encourage people to get in contact with us for all the variety of things that we offer in terms of ceremony and music. So we offer a lot of different things. Eostar, as I said, is certified in breath work, and so she does breathwork ceremonies that are really transformational. And then also we do cacao ceremonies and other entheogen type ceremonies. We also oftentimes will get hired to play at other people's ceremonies. So if people want to reach out for us for our musical services, we can also come to you if you're holding a ceremony and you would like us to hold space for you in whatever way, either musically or to assist in whatever way might be appropriate or called for. So just reach out to us and connect with us. I think it might be good through maybe Eostar's directly through her email address.
Yes, so if anybody visits webofone.net or Eostar and the Web of One, that's our band, Eostar and the webofone.com, they can sign up on the sign up on our email list, contact, whatever box, and that comes directly to me. Or they can use the email address Eostar, that is EOSTAR .Kamala, like the vice president, KAMALA @gmail.com. So that's EOStar.Kamala@gmail.com. That is my personal email.
There you go, Scott. You got it.
Thank you.
Yep, just popped it in the chat box. I'll also pop it on our Facebook. We're on several Facebook pages, but I'll put them on the primary Facebook pages. And I want to acknowledge that the majority of people that actually watch this show tend to watch the replay. So we love all of our live participants. Thank you. But also want to acknowledge those of you watching the replay. And if you are watching the replay, then of course it's harder. Well, there's not a Zoom chat, but I will put into the Facebook pages all this information so you can contact Eostar and Mathias and Web of One. Also, you guys have a Facebook page. And so I want to just take a moment to acknowledge that just because I found it. And it's pretty easy. It's facebook.com/Web of One. And it looks like you've got some music from Valentine's Day. I remember that. I came in, I was on that with you guys.
We haven't been that active on our Facebook page just because, with the coronavirus, we really haven't been doing things, kind of above ground very much, and haven't actually been, we've been really, careful about gathering with any sorts of numbers of people.
Yeah.
So, we've been one of the things we've been kind of staying sane with through this pandemic, especially through the winter time, was we were holding these sacred fires, and we would just have some musician friends and a variety of people over to my land, and we would hold a very sacred prayerful container, completely sober for the most part. Yeah. And we would just share songs and prayers all night long, and we do this once or twice a month throughout the colder seasons. Besides the summer, usually we're traveling a bunch in the summertime, and that was a really beautiful way to bring together people and just remember that we're going to get through this time, this pandemic time that we're in. It is so challenging for so many people, and people feel so isolated. Many people, and I feel blessed that I have Eostar in my life, and just send out a lot of love to people out there that maybe want some more connection and stuff. Just to remember, reach out to a friend or two, or just stay connected through these hard times.
Absolutely. It's so important what you're saying. And because with Saturday Night Live, that's the feedback we get. A lot of the people who watch the show, it's become their lifeline. It's become their church, because the church they used to go to has been shut down, or, they can't go out. And everybody has a different relationship to this pandemic, and just want to acknowledge, let's try and be as open-minded as we can. And like Mathias just said, think of who do you know that might be lonely? Who do you know that might, really appreciate reaching out? And thank goodness that we do have opportunities like this where people can listen to some beautiful music and connect. Really appreciating that.
Yeah.
Heidi just wrote something lovely. She writes, ideally, as we have experiences, we develop our own awareness and our own style. Evolving is our purpose. And yes, it's a process. It really is work. I mentioned this in regard to Scott's comment about that when we were younger and took substances like ecstasy. We did it and we had fun using it. However, it really is a fast, fun escape tool. Cannot do that kind of stuff anymore. It's hard on our bodies. This is true. Especially as we age. Plus, it's near impossible to get true and pure ecstasy. That is why plants in nature are best, and breathing and water and having awareness to be thankful for and grateful, and of course, music. So beautifully written, Heidi. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's why, our main practice really is breath work. Which is, we found to be as transformational as anything, really. You can go so deep just through breathing. So if anyone wants to contact us about that, Eostar and I do that type of work. We do sound healing with the breath work, and it's really,
Most people, when they have the experience of breath work, and there are different types of breath works. Pranayamas, they really all stem from the Vedic knowledge of pranayama, but there are different styles, and some aim more toward bringing up the suppressed emotions, and so those are more cathartic experiences. The one that I'm practicing is really an active meditation tool that very quickly and very efficiently brings the participants into a state of heightened awareness, and where the fabric of time and space reality kind of starts falling apart, and it becomes background, and there's just this incredibly beautiful, blissful, timeless sense of full and clear awareness, and so a lot of people who have practiced that with me said to me, why take entheogens when I can just do this? And in a way that is true, and in a way it's not, because they are different, but there's a lot of similarities and a lot of connection between the two.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, you never know when you're going to get shown the light. One lyric from the Grateful Dead is, "Once in a while, you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right." So I always loved that line. And I mean, one of my more awakening moments was actually just on one hit of marijuana when I was in Maui, and I had a complete union with. I was staring up at the stars, and it was like my cranial bone enveloped the entire galactic universe.
Wow.
And I really became it all. And what happened was, I think my autonomic nervous system went into protection mode. And like I was laying on the trunk of this car, and it literally, without my participation or wanting it, I jumped off the car and got into the back of the SUV and climbed into my sleeping bag and was shivering, despite the fact that it was like 85 degrees out. I think that the way that I kind of experienced that is that, like, it seemed like it was like, because I became one with everything, it was like too much energy, like my body organism couldn't handle it. And so it might have saved my life, I don't know. But I remember when my body was moving me into the back of the SUV that I was like literally pissed that it pulled me out of this complete union with everything. But it was totally out of the blue. I mean, I didn't expect it at all. It was just like, whoa, oh my God, you know, what just happened? So yeah, once in a while you can get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right.
Absolutely. I mean, that's reminding me of an experience I had a very long time ago. I was sleeping in a friend's house and I was actually sleeping on his couch. And I came into my body very quickly. And I came in fast enough that I was able to remember where I had just been, which was the astral plane. And while I was there was no big deal. Oh, I'm on it, because it's like I'm there all the time. The big deal was I came into my body fast enough. I didn't come through the ether of dreams. I came right back into my body, so I remembered it all. But like you just described, I started shaking because I had been in such a high vibration state, and it was shocking for the body. My consciousness, it was fantastic, and I can still remember a lot of the things that took place while I was on the astral that were meaningful, but my body needed to go shake. And in fact, I actually remember going into my friend's bathroom and making a bath, and I had to get in warm water just to allow my body, and there were no drugs involved. And I mean, that was it was a time in my life that I did take psychedelics, but I was not on psychedelics when that happened.
Wow. Was there something that triggered that, Scott, or just like it was a spontaneous something or other? I mean,
yeah, no, it was totally spontaneous. At the time that it happened, it was the most significant event of my life because I had such an awakening, and no drugs involved, spontaneous, sleeping on my friend's couch. For whatever reason, it just happened that morning. So it's interesting, you know, sometimes you're right. Sometimes we can have these incredible spontaneous moments, and sometimes they are stimulated through entheogens, and sometimes they just happen out of the blue. You know, it's and yes, the body tends to shake afterwards because it's a very high vibration coming into the density of the earth plane. You know, it's much more dense here than it is on the causal plane or the astral plane.
Yeah.
I would just like to add that those events don't just happen out of the blue. They happen because that was the perfect time for you to have an incredible awakening experience. And we are not in control of all of this. We can take medicines, we can meditate, we can do all of this, but ultimately, when the time is right, we are going to wake up, and we all have angels and guides that are helping us, and the system of life is a benevolent one, and that system always knows when it's time for anyone in particular to have a spiritual experience. So I wouldn't say that that's out of the blue, but it
Right.
might seem like that from the perspective of the individual, but it's always perfect.
Yeah.
That's a really beautiful clarification, because you're right. I agree with everything you just said, Eostar, that it was out of the blue in my human experience, but for whatever reason, my higher self, my angels, my guides decided that was the right time. And,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Beautiful.
Do we have time for one more last song?
Sure, let's do that.
Absolutely. So Heidi coding opposites.
You want to do Help on the Way?
Help on the Way? Okay. We'll play Help
This
on
is-
the Way.
We played this at a few different places this summer, and it seemed to be what people really loved, this song. And this is one of my favorite Eostar songs as well.
One day you'll find that all the things you tried so hard to get come easy when the time is right. One day you'll find that all the fruits you tried so hard to reach for easy to your feet when right. One day you laugh at all the ways you try to earn the love you can only find within. And then you laugh 'cause all the love you found within is now reflected under every stone you turn. For help is on the way. For help is already on the way. For help is on the way. For help is already on the way. seeds you planted in the soil start growing. When the rain hits the ground, the rain will fill the stream that washes all the tears away from the beam of radiance you've become. For help is on the way. For help is already on the way. For help is on the way. For help is already on the way. I seen it over on the other side of the mountain, in the heart of the forest, growing in the dark of the night, just painting visions of the healing path and mending of the aching heart, and the truth of the hidden mystery, eventually to set you free. The one has seen it over on the other side of the mountain, in the heart of the forest, growing in the dark of the night, just painting visions of the healing path and mending of the aching heart, and the truth of the hidden mystery, eventually to set you free. Seen it over on the other side of the mountain, in the heart of the forest, growing in the dark of the night, she's painting visions of the healing path and mending of the aching heart, the truth of the hidden mystery, eventually to set you free. The wind has seen it over on the other side of the mountain, in the heart of the forest, growing in the dark of the night, she's painting visions of the healing path and mending of the aching heart, and the truth of the hidden mystery, eventually to set you free. Help is on the way. Help is already on the way. Help is on the way. Help is already on the way. Help is on the way. Help is already on the way. Help is on the way. Help is already on the way.
In previous times when you've played that song, what's lovely is that chorus just stays in my brain for a day or two. That is on the I can hear Eostar's voice reminding me, help is on the way. So thank you so much. I will be making a YouTube link out of this show. And we're going to send it out with our Saturday Night Alive link tomorrow morning so that all the people in the Saturday Night Live world will be able to get it. And we're actually building a very elaborate web page and an app.
Oh, wow,
So
nice.
we'll be able to access things like this on their more easily on their phones. And just a huge thanks. Yeah, come close. Look at the beautiful. God, you're so
You can see our wrinkles.
That's
Nice
where we
to see
use the Zoom thing about, touching up the appearance.
Well, a photographer friend of ours said, well, when you record music, you put reverb on it to touch up the music.
Right. There you go.
Right.
I like that.
Well, so lovely to share space with you here,
Mm.
Scott, on Sacred Sunday. Thank you. Feel so honored to be here.
Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching. Steve just wrote meaningful and delightful. Thank you both. Heidi just wrote, sometimes most uncomfortable moments we experience bring us the most beautiful and important healings and breakthroughs. And then she had
Very true.
opposite.
Thank you, Scott, for
Mm.
holding space for transformation and healing for everyone watching all of your programs.
Oh my God, you've just been in complete dharmic service since the pandemic started. I mean, dedication, brother. Yeah, much respect. Yeah, I know what this takes.
We have not missed a weekend. Every weekend, 3 shows. So I am proud of it.
Yeah,
75. Last week was our 75th.
that's amazing. Well, you're looking great with or without camera improvements. And hope to see you in person sometime.
I know. I
Yeah.
will make it to one of your events. Definitely, I'll make it down.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get about an hour and a half away, so I always got to kind of.
We can come to you. Maybe you want to do a sacred fire in your backyard sometime.
Well, no, that sounds good. That's
Yeah,
Let's wait until we're past wildfire season.
yeah, exactly. After that, yes, exactly.
Wildfire season. Yeah, love that.
Mm.
Ronnie just wrote, so stirring me deeply. So Penny O'Neill wrote, I feel like there was a processing, releasing, and healing just now. Thank you. So many blessings. So
Beautiful.
music today has, and the people that will watch the replay as well. So it is, music is very healing to the soul. Truly an example of making Sunday sacred, making any day sacred.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Well, enjoy your day. We're going to go to the farmer's market, take another walk in nature, and just enjoy the beautiful day.
Maybe do a little breath work.
Maybe do a little breath work, actually. Yeah.
All right. God's blessings. I love you both.
Blessings on your
Namaste,
days.
everybody.
Blessings to everyone.
Bye-bye.